Hey, family, welcome to Put Your Dukes Up Reaction. You gotta stay ready, so we have to get ready. With that being said, let's get it on out the way. Alert, alert, alert! Goofball, goofball, goofball. Man, this is some of the Crash Dummy. I think I should name this Crash Dummy, because that's what he is. I ain't never seen somebody get out of jail who want to go back to jail so quick. Who does this, Pooh Shiesty? I mean, what's gangster about this, man? Ain't nothing gangster about this. But I'm gonna let y'all see. I'm sure most of y'all have already heard, but this my spin on it. Let's go.
To a rap.
Come on, bro. You gotta get in with me, man.
Music.
On Wednesday, FBI agents raided Williams Cordova's home. His father, of the same name, is also a suspect. Investigators tracked the group using cell data, surveillance, rental records, and bus tickets. 8 of the 9 suspects have now been arrested in a case that has racked up
situation. I don't like it for either side. You know what I'm talking about? Goo out most definitely didn't deserve that, and I don't want to see this for the little homie Pooh Shiesty, but this one niggas got to be educated and understand. In business, you got to negotiate, my nigga. You got to negotiate. If you were signed for 100K and now you got 10 M's on the table, it's time to negotiate. This how we do this. Boom, 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 boom. Everybody win. Let's go. That's how I got to go, my nigga. You can't muscle your way out of no shit and no business. It don't go that way. And I ain't just talking about on the people's side, but on the other side, the blitz gonna come. You can't run from it, homie. That's the way it goes. Negotiate. It's time to educate. I want to see young hustlers from the South win. I want to see it. That was the time I got Gotti and Guwap on the phone together. Us 3 on the phone, nigga. And it ain't nothing to discuss. It was no disrespect. It was no raised voices. Rose just wanted to plant that seed. And I understand one phone call may not fix all the situations, but you want to plant that seed where niggas may be able to move forward one day, get some paper one day. The CMG 1017 tour one day, that was Rose mindset. And I wish none but my homies the best. When it come to business, let's negotiate. Niggas can't take the streets to the do. Nigga gonna get a life sentence with that shit, bullshit, nigga.
It's crazy. Because what if I told you one of the biggest rappers to ever come out of Memphis had everything most artists dreamed of? Millions of dollars, a major cosign from Gucci, and a CEO standing behind him who helped him turn himself into a millionaire.
Come on, bro. You gotta get in with me, man. So look at your round. Look at your. Get your phone up. Put my phone on there. Give me slime. Give my slime over here. Here, get my other phone, man. Hey, we do here, bro. Give me right, bro. Slime over here for my guy, man. His birthday.
But instead of protecting that opportunity, prosecutors say the situation will spiral into allegations of a robbery, a forced contract, and eventually a federal case. And over the last couple of days, new developments and paperwork connected to the situation has started resurfacing, including documents tied to Pooh Shiesty'S father, paperwork that was originally supposed to be sealed, but eventually became public, that the family TV was able to get, which we'll later break down. And once you start reading through that, a lot of people begin asking a serious question. Was this really a robbery, like the internet has been saying? Or was this a contract dispute that escalated into something much bigger? Because when you actually look at the details, the jury people claim Gucci Mane was robbed for doesn't appear to match anything present in evidence. And even more interesting, the night didn't just involve rappers. According to reports inside that glass studio office where everything allegedly went down, there were 2 off-duty officers and an informant present that most people don't know about, meaning some would argue 3 connected to law enforcement inside that room where this situation unfolded, not to mention on camera. So now the story people thought they understood suddenly looks a lot different. Fam, listen, you know a couple days ago we did a story talking about Pooh Shiesty'S father and his documented criminal history. We didn't speak on the citizen, because that information was blocked from public view. But what the family TV was able to obtain was the plea agreement tied to their case. Paperwork that, according to records, was supposed to remain sealed. And once that information started circulating again, people began looking at the bigger picture. Because when you line the history up with the situation involving Gucci Mane, a lot of questions start coming up. For the last couple of days, the internet narrative has been simple. People saying Gucci Mane has been robbed. They saying chains were taken, rings were taken, watches were taken, and most of all, he told. But when you actually go through the paperwork and the evidence that's been presented publicly, that claim started getting shaky because the jury shown doesn't appear to be Gucci Mane's jury at all. Instead, what prosecutors describe much more clearly is a contract dispute that escalated. A situation where multiple individuals allegedly traveled from Memphis to Texas over business. And that federal complaint shows just that. During that situation, prosecutors say a contract ended up being forced to be signed. Now think about that for a second. Nowhere in this complaint it said Gucci Mane or RD said his blank 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 was taken. But think about this. If you're the CEO of a multi-million-dollar company and someone forces you to sign a contract under pressure, legally speaking, that contract doesn't hold up, which raises a bigger question. If you were Gucci Mane in that situation, what would you do? But before we go over this one, I want you guys to remember, I won't give you no angle. I just give you the story. So with that being said, make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. We'll jump right to it.
There ain't a lot of people to come to me with that in my whole life since I was a little boy. You know what I'm saying? When I forget a lot of those, say, I have never snitched on nobody. I never wrote a statement on one, and I never will. That's how I feel. Cause I'm a true G. I never snitch on a nigga. Where we from, we won't do that. For real. This East Carolina zone said, well, niggas I fuck with Michael, we won't do that.
You know, I'm gonna get off topic just a little bit here. That Gucci man right there, the old Gucci and the new Gucci, they don't even sound the same. I understand they don't look the same either. But I understand you lose a little weight. And he's not all that big there. So I don't know how much weight he really would have lost. But he did lose weight. But that Gucci don't even sound like the new Gucci. The Gucci that's, cut up now with the big beard. Don't even look the same. Don't even sound the same. I mean, for real, y'all go back and look at the old Gucci and the new Gucci. Check it out.
Myself, like, if I gotta go, I'm gonna go. I done went before. I don't want to snitch on a nigga to save my nobody's life, not even my own. I die if I snitch on a nigga. That's on my mom.
Fam, that was early 2000s Gucci Mane. A man who been through many scenarios to tell, but he didn't. A man who now, 20 years later after that interview alone, still got 1017 to be relevant. Now full-time CEO who rap occasionally. Fast forward to 2026, in a contract dispute with one of the biggest artists in the world, who some say went about things that's similar to Suge Knight and Eazy-E. Now, before we go over that federal complaint in its entirety together, I want us to go back some years prior during the pandemic, towards the end. In 2020, when Gucci Mane had signed Pooh Shiesty, another well-known artist he had signed was Fujiano and Big Scar. Together, they dropped music under the new 1017 and gained millions of views each track.
I can't cry me a bag. Just took a trip to Waffy, look like I fell in some glass. Bang, J's up on.
Looking back, you ask, what if? Pooh Shiesty, Fujiano, and Big Scar, all three were stars. But unfortunately, when Pooh Shiesty got arrested in 2021, Big Scar, real name Alexander Woods, unfortunately lost his life on December 22nd, 2022, at just 22 years old from an accidental prescription drug overdose at his girlfriend's house. His family reported the overdose involved prescription pills, and the Memphis Police Department confirmed there were no signs of foul play. May he rest in peace. A love of condolences to his family. But after that situation, things didn't really turn out how the family had expected, because it seemed Gucci Mane and his team had some type of fallout with Big Scar's family. It was alleged that Gucci Mane wanted Big Scar's chains back and only gave $10,000 for the funeral. I'll let you decide if that was enough or not. But listen to Big Scar's sister voice her opinion on the situation. And I bring this up because some say this may have led to why Pooh Shiesty wanted to stir away from Gucci Mane. Not saying it's true, but it is a fact that these things happen. Mind you, Big Scar's Pooh Shiesty blood's cousin.
That 10K went to a flower. His flower was high as fuck. We still got a casket. He getting cremated. He getting put up in a museum. The bitches would not be able to walk on my brother's grave. He ain't getting put in no ground. He ain't getting buried with no chains. He not getting them chains back. Period. At the end of the day. Fuck them receipts that Annabelle uploaded. Fuck Annabelle. And them receipts. Like I said, we only received 10,000. What the other 10 is, I don't know. But yeah. Yeah. I'm at work with my feet up, making boxes. That 10K ain't did shit but buy obituaries and flowers, boo. This shit ain't here with no obituaries and flowers, boo. 10K ain't shit. My brother was way more worth. Baby, my brother worth more than 10K. You bitches can. Quit playing with me. Quit playing with me. Yeah, Gucci son 10,000, and it was somebody else on another 10. So it was 20,000 in all.
Now, another situation that happened is when Pooh Shiesty was free. A comment Gucci had wrote in response to Big 30, 375-1017. Gucci Mane responds, Cap, stop posting me, dude. We met once. Either way, they made up. Gucci Mane and Big 30 had their music together after that.
Take care of me.
That's why some say the Big Scar situation is more believable, because prior to the robbery in January, Pooh Shiesty was posting a lot of Big Scar in his story, reminiscing. Some say now, looking back, may have been sending clues. Now, another person people are pointing out before we get into this federal complaint once again is Pooh Shiesty's dad, Lontrell Williams Sr. Now, we're not going to go over the situation that happened in 2004 with the DJ because we talked about it in the first video. I'll leave the link in the bio, like I said once again. But we are going to go over his plea agreement in that case, and why he only served 2 days for that case, which was for a murder and an R, according to what prosecutors say, fueled by his animosity towards the DJ for not playing his music, instead playing Yo Gotti's music, allegedly. Now, during this time, Pooh Shiesty's dad did get arrested. But because his homie went to trial and he wasn't placed there, they couldn't charge him with the murder. They did charge him with the drugs that were seized at the time of his arrest. And during that time, even though it wasn't murder, he still agreed to be an informant for the feds. Now, fam, before we move forward with the rest of this story, we got to slow down and really break down something that most people skim over when they look at federal paperwork. Because buried inside a plea agreement is something that changes the entire conversation. And that's a potential 5K1 motion. Now, if you ever dealt with the federal system, a 5K1 might just look like another number in a document. But in federal world, that number means everything. Let me break it down. First off, the defendant in this case, Lontrell Williams Sr., agreed to plead guilty to multiple counts involving federal drug conspiracy laws. Those are serious charges that typically carry heavy federal prison sentences. We're talking about charges that can easily land 10, 20 years, sometimes even life, depending on the circumstances. But right after the plea selection, the agreement introduced something very important. It says the government may recommend a reduction in his sentence under United States Sentencing Guidelines 5K1. What does that mean? In simple terms, a 5K1 is a cooperation deal. It means that the defendant has agreed to provide substantial assistance to the federal government, and that assistance usually involves helping prosecutors build a case against other individuals. Now, that help can come from several forms. Sometimes it means providing detailed information about drug operations, suppliers, or co-conspirators. Sometimes it means helping investigators understand how a criminal organization operates, who is involved, where the drugs are coming from, and where the money is going. Other times it means actually testifying in court or in front of a grand jury against other people involved in the conspiracy. And in some situations, even help investigators make recorded calls identifying other suspects or confirming evidence investigators already have. But here's the key part most people miss. The plea agreement makes it clear that none of this guarantees a sentence reduction. The document literally says the decision is solely within the discretion of the government. In other words, prosecutors are the ones who decide whether the cooperation was valuable enough to be rewarded. And if they believe the defendant provided real help that actually led something that leads to investigations or prosecutions, then they can file a motion asking the judge to reduce the sentence. That's what a 5K1 is. And looking back, He got 4 years of supervised release, and that was it. So apparently, they felt his information was enough to get a reduced sentence. And the feds, that's what they call black and white, proving if a person is an informant or not. And this what we can call, quote unquote, being a snitch, if you living by that. So let's continue with the story. Fast forward to the first week of April of 2026. Senior had a bond hearing for the federal pickup alongside his son and other 8 alleged CG members. Pooh Shiesty got one on the 8th. I'll keep you guys updated on that. But now at this point, people want to know. We got all that squared away. What about Gucci Mane? Now let's go over this criminal complaint in its entirety. I waited some time before dropping in the morning to see if the feds would actually drop the indictment. Now, I'm sure Pooh Shiesty didn't ever know his father was a federal informant, which is crazy because hours before the robbery with Gucci Mane, he allegedly went to Instagram and talked about his paperwork spoke on standing on business on not being an informant, which would make sense on. Some would say that's why he was allowed by his dad to do that to someone help his son become a millionaire, despite how we feel about his contract.
It was an indictment, so we got indicted twice, nigga, so they smacked us with more charges, nigga, thinking that shit would break us or make us, nigga, conspiracy to possess firearms in front of the drug trafficking, violent crimes, nigga, 3 other sided niggas you will ever see, nigga, name on a piece of paperwork, nigga, bankroll, D-roll, nigga, these niggas solid, nigga, nigga. We kept it G. We traumatized about this shit, my nigga. For real, nigga, I really went through it. Nigga, you nigga better watch our mouth when y'all say a nigga name, cuz I was facing 20 plus or 20 plus another 20 plus life, nigga. Never told it, never folded, nigga. All my shit add up, nigga. Yeah, nigga, every page add up. You see 1 through 10 on anything. Stop playing with a nigga name, nigga made, nigga, for real. You nigga don't know the half of this shit or what's really going on, nigga.
But at the end of the day, do he know his dad was an informant? You know, that's gonna break his heart when he find out that his old man is an informant. This whole thing is an S show. Period, point blank. The whole thing. He got Big 30 in it. You know, I just don't understand this. This just crash test dummy for me. I just can't wrap my mind around this. You know, how you just had millions and millions of dollars. You come home and you spend $500,000 on cars and you out 6 months and you're right back in a jam. I don't even understand it.
Work 4,000 pages long. I go all day with this shit. You niggas don't know what really going on. You know what you see on the internet.
As of now, they haven't. Now, looking back at the situation that took place on January 10th, 2026, as mentioned, just weeks after FDO is charting #1. It seemed like before, Pooh Shiesty and Gucci Mane, even though they didn't come out publicly, wasn't on no terms. But you have damn near 2 feds in it. One was a federal informant in Pooh Shiesty dad, and Gucci Mane security, who's even an ex-officer or was an off-duty officer at the time of this incident. Now, fam, with this complaint, we're not gonna paraphrase. We're gonna have to read in its entirety because it tells us what the eyewitness is. It also told us who the initial conversation, you know, what happened. But I want to point out something. Now, according to these blogs, these people not only stole Gucci Mane one of his wedding rings or bands, one of Gucci Mane's watch, one of Gucci Mane pendants. The Gucci Mane went on Big Facts a couple months ago before Pooh Shiesty came home and was excited and talked about how he don't come out with at least an M on.
Listen, everything I buy be $1 million now. Right. The watch gonna be $1 million. The chain got to be $1 million. The rings got to be $1 million. If I would brought my other rings on here, y'all couldn't even see.
None of these pieces looks like Gucci Mane pieces. I found my stand correct. It was damn near 3 officers in there, at least 2 technically. They say at around 1 p.m. on January 10, 2026, the victims flew into Dallas, Texas alongside RD's head of security, hereinafter referred to as CW, and other security officers hereinafter referred to as TD, for a scheduled business meeting between RD and suspected Williams Jr., who we all now assume RD means Radrick Davis, Gucci Mane, and Pooh Shiesty for Williams Jr. They say Pooh Shiesty wanted to talk to Gucci Mane or Radrick Davis or RD about his contract and wished to be released. They said around 1:45 5, CW and TD, the 2 officers and the victims arrived at the scheduled meeting location, a music recording studio located within a larger office building. When CW and TD and the victims entered the office building, they realized the recording studio, owned by an individual hereinafter referred to as JN, was closed. So when they got there, they realized the studio was closed, and they talked to JN, who confirmed it. While they waited for the studio to open, the 5 went to a liquor store and purchased liquor in plastic red Solo cups before returning to the studio. Williams Jr. father, Williams Sr., called JN multiple times on the day of the meeting, which was the owner of the studio. At around 2:53, JN answered the phone and learned that Williams Sr. was attempting to book the recording studio that afternoon for Williams Jr. and RD to record music. At around 3:15 p.m., JN opened the music studio for RD, MM, BP, CW, and TD. So, according to Pooh Shiesty'S dad, they went there to try to do music, assuming it could have went down outside the studio as well. Investigators later collected and reviewed surveillance video captured at another business located at the same office building on the same floor as the recording studio, which shows Williams Sr. outside the office building. At around 3:27 p.m. on January 10, 2026, it appears that he was speaking to someone on his cell phone before entering the building at 3:28. At around 3:39, an employee of the studio arrived to assist with production. When the employee arrived, Williams Jr. and Williams Sr. were standing at the back door of the office building, engaged in what appears to be an argument over the phone. At around 3:43, Williams Jr. and Sr., Wright, Johnson, Waiters, Roger, Gibson, Glover, and McDaniel entered the east side of the office building. The target suspects walked through the lobby area of the office building before going inside the studio. One individual with a dreadlock hairstyle, later identified as Gibson, can be seen on video exiting the building and shortly thereafter returning with a bag slung over his shoulder. Wright, also known as hip-hop artist Big 30. The 9 individuals entered the studio control room, where inside, victims were watching a football game. CW was positioned in the studio lobby, while TD remained in the vehicle they arrived in. Depicted below are photographs of the studio lobby. The police claim the victims overheard Williams Jr. talking on a cell phone, potentially with a probation officer, stating that his caseworker had given him permission to be out for rec time. So Pooh Shiesty knew. His probation officer already knew where he was at. From what the victims could hear, Williams Jr. was informed that that wasn't the case and that he needed to return immediately. Williams Jr. agreed. Williams Jr. was wearing an ankle monitor, leading the victims to believe that Williams Jr. was on house arrest. RD told Williams Jr. they could reschedule the studio session, but Williams Jr. requested to speak with RD privately in the attached recording room. RD agreed and entered the recording room with Williams Jr., Williams Sr., and Wright. Meantime, BP remained in the control room with the 6 other individuals and continued to watch the football game. BP offered to share the liquor they purchased with the targeted suspects, and at least 2 accepted, grabbing red cups and making a drink, assuming they all was cool and incoherent, fam. Inside the control room, Williams Jr. produced purported contract terminations or release papers from a bag and told RD to sign them. When RD declined, Williams Jr. became agitated and the pair started to argue. So it wasn't a robbery out the gate. MM and BP could see inside the recording studio initially believed RD and Williams to be discussing business. But as MM saw the conversation intensify, he texted CW, who was still in the music studio's lobby. As the argument inside the recording room ensued, Williams Jr. instructed Wright to get the bag. Wright complied, leaving the recording room before returning with the bag, which is Big 30. Williams Jr. then pulled what appeared to be a black AK-style pistol from the bag and pointed it at RD, demanding again that RD signed the contractual release paperwork. RD complied, signed the paperwork for Williams Jr., while Williams Sr. and Wright stood by RD. RD couldn't leave the room. But here's how police got that evidence. They claim Big 30 pulled out a cell phone and recorded RD signing the paperwork while being forced to say that he released Pooh Shiesty from their contract. After the release was signed, Williams Jr. took RD wedding ring, watch, earrings, and cash. According to that recording, after RD signed the contractual release paperwork, Williams Jr. provided the paperwork to Williams Sr. and asked if the paperwork was good. Williams Sr. advised that the paperwork needed to be dated, so Williams Jr. then forced RD to add the date next to his name. As RD, Williams Jr., Williams Sr., and Wright exited the recording studio, the remaining subjects, Waters, Rogers, Johnson, Glover, McDaniel, and Gibson, produced handguns or AK-style pistols and began demanding property from BP and MM. BP was pushed into the couch in the control room, while the individual known as BP as CMO Dan Boo Dan Fu, and Potter Williams Jr. and crew, later identified as Roger, searched his pockets and stole his wallet. BP's chain and necklace, bearing their moniker 1017, were stolen from the neck, and another subject he knew as Glizzy 375, later identified as McDaniel during a robbery. McDaniel repeatedly threatened to shoot BP for moving, but Williams Jr. instructed McDaniel not to. BP further identified an individual he knew as Baby Slime 375, later identified as Johnson, as being involved in the kidnapping and robbery, and that during the control room robberies, Johnson possessed a firearm and held BP and others at gunpoint. Both MM and BP identified an individual they knew as KD, later identified as Waters, also being involved in the kidnapping and robbery, possessing a firearm and holding them at gunpoint. MM and BP identified them. MM was choked from behind to the point of nearly losing consciousness during the kidnapping and robbery, resulting in scratches on his neck and wrist below. MM was robbed from his Rolex watch, a Louis Vuitton bag containing multiple other high-dollar watches, Apple AirPod headphones, and his wallet at gunpoint. MM confirmed the Louis Vuitton bag, AirPods, and wallet each had Apple AirTags on them, a location tracking device. As the altercation inside the control room ensued, Wright walked over to the studio door to the lobby, closed it, and blocked it with his body, preventing the victims from leaving. CW and TD, the victim's security guard, watched Wright barricade the door and attempt to force their way into the control room, but were prevented from entering. With handguns drawn by CW and TD, managed to particularly open the door, but recognized that they were outnumbered. They said RD was pushed into the couch in the control room, causing the victims to believe they were going to be executed. Williams Jr. placed the barrel of the firearm to the back of BP's head and ordered him and RD to leave the control room and the studio through the west entrance of the office building. RD then instructed CW and TD to escort them to their vehicle. As the victims left, MM turned to Williams Jr. and asked him if they were really taking his watches. Based on later recovered surveillance footage, the targeted suspects left the studio and the office building through the east entrance at around 4:48 p.m. Exterior surveillance video recovered from a neighborhood building showed a white Buick Enclave and a black Dodge Charger Hellcat and a black Dodge Ram within distant road fixed to the bed of the truck traveling northbound shortly after the kidnapping and robbery. According to law enforcement database, Wright's father, also known as Rodney Wright, owns a 2020 Dodge Charger Hellcat bearing Tennessee license plates, which was shown on camera at around 2:18 in Dallas-Fort Worth. So it's clear as day. The information that was given thus far was from the officers who was with Gucci, who saw everything from outside the room. I'm a parent because it was glass doors or glass windows or glass walls, but couldn't get in because guns was drawn on them. Now apparently Big 30 and the homies he was staying with stayed at a Comfort Inn. They end up stealing a black Dodge Charger Hellcat from that Comfort Inn on January 11, 2026. And
you know, you got to be one of the stupidest individuals. Y'all taking stuff that got AirPods on. Man had an AirPod in his wallet. Y'all took it, headphones. What are you taking headphones for? For real? I mean, for real? Who take headphones these days? That's a going ticket? I'm going to rob you for some headphones. Now, I knew them Beats by Dre was expensive, but I ain't finna knock nobody off for them, no. Are you kidding me? I mean, y'all thirsty. Just listen to stuff y'all taking. Watches. Come on, man. I get it. Some of this. Then you take all these people with you. So you got 8 people in a room and everybody want to take something. I'm surprised they didn't say, give me your left shoe. Give me your right shoe. I mean, you might as well you taking AirPods. I mean, wallet. Y'all think it's the old days. That cat had him an AirPod, one of them things, little trappers in there. See? Trying to be a thief and get booked. Wherever you go, the AirPod thing going run. Whatever they call the thing, right along with it. Ding dongs. It's not the old days no more. Give it up, man. Come on, man. First Day Out was a major hit. I mean, that joint was wanging. I can't see how we go from that to this. And then, let me say this. You got your father with you. The person who should be able to say, son, this is not a good idea. son, let's find us a good lawyer. Son, whatever this contract is, let's speed it up. Tupac didn't like his contract neither with Suge Knight. You know what he did? He made double albums to get out of it. You signed the contract, deal with it. You're a man. You did. We wouldn't know who a Pooh Shiesty was if Gucci Man didn't put up his money and put you in the dirt. Now you get a name, you get bigger than the mob. You get bigger than the machine. When nobody knew who you was, you could have been a good, it's a million good rappers out there, but we don't know who they are. Until somebody invests or they blow up. But you got invested in, man. That's what I hate about people. I just like them people that borrow money from you and then say, well, I ain't never asked you for nothing. Those type of people. I mean, this is livid. This is insane.
Got all a surveillance footage in and outside that hotel. And that's what you see. They ain't come in at. They know about the alleged robbery based on what the police saying they saw and on Big 30 recording. But when it came to identifying the target suspects, they say MMBP and RD all personally knew Williams Jr. by both his legal name and a name under him, which he performs Pooh Shiesty. Tag this Instagram account. They say JR, MM, and RD describe Williams Jr. as wearing a black Nike brand Shiesty mask, black hoodie shirt, and black pants during the offense. An online search of Williams Jr. matched the individual depicted throughout Pooh Shiesty. Here's that photo. They identified Pooh Shiesty during the offense. The victims identified senior Instagram account Mob Tabs Global. MMBP and RD all identified Wright as a well-known hip-hop artist known as Big 30. MM and RD identify his Instagram account as CEO Big 30, which is verified by Instagram. MM and BP identified KD. BP identified Dan Fool. MM identified Glover, who had this Rolex and this 1017 chain. By the way, Rogers was just arrested. He was the one with this Rolex. BP identified Baby Slime. I'm saying you knew Pooh Shiesty and Big 30 after it was forced to contract. We can all just assume that was Radrick Davis. That's one thing. But telling the police they robbed you is another. Because police told us at the very end on page 30 of 32 pages on who identified Lontrell Williams Jr. And when they were speaking on him, they spoke on RD in third person. They said eyewitness accounts state that Williams Jr. brought RD into a recording studio and demanded that RD sign the release contract at gunpoint before taking RD's wedding ring, watch, earrings, and cash. Eyewitness accounts also placed Williams Jr. in the room when the additional kidnappings and robberies of MM and BP occurred. Cell phone records, electronic locations, monitoring, and surveillance footage placed Williams Jr. at the offense location. Electronic location monitoring data also places Williams Jr. at a Staples location with his father, believed to be printing the termination contract prior to arriving at the offense location. Eyewitness accounts and state when it came to Senior, they saw him in the studio when the offenses occurred. Williams Sr. assisted Williams Jr. in producing RD's signature on the purported contract release. Surveillance footage from the day of the office shows Williams Sr. entering the building, unmasked, and later exiting the building carrying a backpack which he believed he did not enter. Surveillance footage and eyewitness accounts place Williams Sr. at the offense location following the offense wearing similar clothing to what the suspects in the kidnapping and robbery appeared to be wearing. No other information about the jury type, the video released, or exactly what was took from Gucci Mane. Only what the feds could recover. Guess y'all take that from there. Since then, Big 30 attorney has spoken and said the following.
He's been making music for a number of years. He and Pooh Shiesty kind of came up in the music game together, and they were sort of like, they're very close, and they made, some magical music.
On Wednesday, FBI agents raided Williams Cordova's home. His father, of the same name, is also a suspect. Investigators tracked the group using cell data, surveillance, rental records, and bus tickets. 8 of the 9 suspects have now been arrested in a case that has racked up lots of attention.
I just hope that people will wait to pass judgment on Rodney and these other individuals until all the facts come out.
And if convicted, all 9 defendants could face life in prison. There is a scheduled detention hearing for Wright, or Big 30, tomorrow at 2 p.m. before his case is moved to Texas. In the studio, I'm Lauren Turman.
He doesn't have a criminal history, he doesn't have a criminal record. He's been making music for a number of years. He and Pooh Shiesty kind of came up in the music game together, and they were sort of like, they're very close, and they made, some magical music.
On Wednesday, FBI agents raided Williams' Cordova home. His father, of the same name, is also a suspect. Investigators tracked the group using cell data, surveillance, rental records, and bus tickets. 8 of the 9 suspects have now been arrested in a case that has racked up lots of attention.
I just hope that people will wait to pass judgment on Rodney and these other individuals until all the facts come out.
And if convicted, all 9 defendants could face life in prison. There is a scheduled detention hearing for Wright, or Big 30, tomorrow at 2 p.m. before his case is moved to Texas. In the studio, I'm Lauren Turman.
He doesn't have a criminal history, he doesn't have a criminal record.
Not to mention, Pooh Shiesty's dad had managed to come home on a $250,000 bond on house arrest, only allowed to leave the home to go to court. As far as everyone else, it seemed like they behind bars. And Shiesty's gonna have to pay for his attorney, his dad attorney, his co-defendant's attorney. Look out for his family. All while his music still going to the man he allegedly robbed. I know that was a lot, but I wanted to give you guys full context so y'all can feel how you feel about it, but get how I feel. I want you guys to be able to make an honest decision based on the facts presented. Now, when an indictment comes out, that's when we can find out the statements being mentioned. With so many eyewitnesses, we don't know who really told the police that they took something from Gucci. Because what if in actuality, they didn't take all those items? Or what if it was the other person who was in there? Or what if it's the officers? What we do know is the items that was shown was not Gucci's. Was not mentioned what items of Gucci described in detail other than what an eyewitness think was stolen from Gucci during the process. Is that telling? Saying a person who forged a contract to make sure it's evident before any information come out about an alleged video that contract was forged and deemed useless, which now mean Pooh Shiesty is still signed to 1017. And if that statement wasn't mentioned, the little statement other than I know who that was during this that was Pooh Shiesty and Big 30, all this could have happened. Yeah, Pooh Shiesty probably would have got caught, but he probably would have been out of 1017 as well. Let that sink in. Let me know how you guys feel about this one in the comments. Don't forget to like and subscribe.
Yeah, this one here is just a failure on so many different levels, man. People like me love to have $1 million. Give me $1 million, I'll change some lives. I promise you that. I promise you that. For the better. There's no way I can have my son with me and say, let's go rob this bank. Or let's go rob this dude. I'm not going with him. First of all, I wouldn't introduce that to my child. And second of all, I wouldn't do it with him. Even if he was going to go do it, he would have to do that by himself. I would did everything in my power to climb him off that cliff. Son, look, crash test dummy. Stay ready so you don't have to get ready. This don't make no sense, son. We can't go out like this. I give him 10 reasons why not. Slow down. For one major one, you got that thing around your leg. I don't know how you think you're going to beat that when it tells every step you make, where you go, left, right, up, down. You ain't been home 6 months. Yeah, first day out song, making millions. You getting it in. Okay, your cousin, whatever, he died. He ain't nothing to do with your cousin. Your cousin did that lean in there and OD. And y'all can't get mad. The rabbit hole can go deep. But the immaturity and the youngest shows. Well, where's the $10,000 that was the flower? He can give you that money. He don't have to give you that money. Where's the money that he gave your brother? He should have it put up somewhere. People, it can go two-way street. You don't get mad at Gucci, man. Well, I can see y'all acting for the chain. Y'all getting upset about that. Because you don't get them back, bro. But you gonna crash out and throw away your child's future for this? I'm gonna stop while I'm ahead because this one just makes no sense to me. None whatsoever. I don't care how many times I watch it, a father and son, and then check it out. The only person home right now is one person home right now. His dad. And his dad is a known informant. A known informant. And that's the only person at home right now. Everybody else in jail. Man, his dad needs to do something with himself because he failed as a father. Y'all tell me how y'all feel. Y'all comment. I'm just reacting to it. That's my reaction. Please like, share, and subscribe. With that, I'm out.
Say no, crack it. Yeah, 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 yeah.